Gonna call this meeting to order. First up is roll call. Council at Large Cummins.
Here.
At Large Postian.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Hembry.
Here.
Ward number 2 Helm.
Here.
Ward number 3 McNeil.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so next up is the agenda approval. I actually have to make a change in the minutes regarding the last meeting. It involves the Cedar Street RFP. It was passed 3-1, not unanimous. So I also have to add the proclamation. I'm thinking of doing it right after the communications, the proclamation that declares the disaster area. So with those two changes, there, motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Cummins with first,
Second.
and Postian with the second.
Cummins,
Yes.
Postian,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
All right, so that takes us down to the communications, and this is where any to the council about items that aren't coming up on the agenda generally. Anybody online? Next. All right, so we'll close that portion of the meeting. There will be that public hearing for the North Plum later, so that's when we'll talk about that. All right, so next up is the proclamation for declaring a disaster area. Jody Freed, if you wouldn't mind coming up, she's gonna give us an update. She's our county EMA Emergency Management Agency.
Director of Emergency Management.
That too.
That too, and 911 on a good day. So before I start, I do want to give thanks to the Tipton Fire Department for their help last Friday night. They just have to put in my life so much easier Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with their damage assessment, and I'm very thankful for that. Coming to the council tonight to both recommend and request a disaster declaration for the city of Tipton. Last Friday's storms were pretty strong. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about those storms. The reason why I'm requesting this disaster declaration is this disaster, it hit a lot of different counties. We are looking at the possibility of this becoming a Stafford Act or a presidential declaration. Had some of the first initial calls today. If this were to become a Stafford Act or presidential declaration, the city of Tipton can recoup some costs, much like in the past, from emergency protective measures, such as, having to get the electricity back up and running. I will fight for fuel costs for running the generator and things like that. This also backs up, I can, per the code, declare a declaration or declare a disaster for about 24 hours. I did that on Saturday to ensure that we got what's called Iowa individual assistance for the residents of the county. So what that is it allows certain individuals to apply for grants to cover unexpected losses and uninsured losses. Households in this that may qualify have to be in the disaster area and meet some income guidelines. But it does allow for people to get up to $5,000 from the state of Iowa. And I thought that was very important for our residents to try and get that out and get the governor's proclamation. So again, if this disaster escalates, which it's unfortunately looking like it will, we have to meet some certain thresholds. So I've kind of put a bug in Melissa's ear to please track costs for me. Before we get to that point, Cedar County needs to meet a minimum of $88,000 in uninsured loss. I mean, the fuel for the generator is not cheap, and it's most likely uninsured. Labor for any public works and electric service employees that we're fighting to get the town back up and running. So that's why I'm asking for that declaration. Council members, I did get you some hot off the press information. We actually had 3 tornadoes come through Cedar County that were actually recorded with damage past. We have a Tipton EF1 started by King Avenue. We believe that's one that kind of went through town and got some of the country club and the subdivision out there. There's the Tipton EF2 tornado began northwest of West Branch, hit the house west of the fairgrounds, which is not in city limits, out on 220th, but we believe that is the one that did the damage to the Historical Society. That tornado carried on to Clarence and then stopped just short of the Jones County line. We also have the and was a 19.6 mile long tornado. The Tipton EF2 was over 20 miles long. So we had a lot of rural damages, and I'll be going to the Board of Supervisors for a similar declaration tomorrow. And just wanted to give everyone a heads up on tomorrow. Tomorrow is shaping up to be just like last Friday. It's almost identical in what we're seeing, which is very strange. We are going to see probably some tornadoes, large hail, supercells, possibility of 3 rounds of storms tomorrow. First round between 2 and 6, second one 6 to midnight, and that will be the most severe and also the most concerning because it will be during the nighttime hours. The third round starting at midnight going into early next morning. National Weather Service is not completely confident on that one, but it looks like, again, we're in for a very bumpy ride. Spoke with Mayor today about sheltering. People's homes are already damaged. If something else comes through, in touch with the Red Cross about sheltering in Tipton. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I do need your help. If you know of people that had damage to their homes, no matter how slight, how minor, please let emergency management know. And then if you do know people that need assistance for that individual assistance, they have to save their receipts. They have to be at 200% of the poverty level, federal poverty level or below to qualify for that. We can get them information on how to apply.
All right.
And that's all I have.
Yep.
And if you have any questions for me, otherwise I probably will duck out and go work on some situation reports.
Definitely.
When it's assigned, who does this proclamation go to?
Just needs to come back to me, and then I'll upload it to the state Homeland Security website and, continue in the process. I'll be in touch with you and Melissa on whether or not this goes to a staff declaration. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right. So I'll quickly read the proclamation. And it says, whereas the city of Tipton has suffered severe damage caused by severe weather and a tornado on the 31st day of March 2023, and whereas extensive damage was caused to public property, streets, and city facilities, and to private businesses, homes, land, property, and other facilities, and whereas the damage has resulted in undue human suffering and hardship and threatens the safety, health, welfare, and well-being of citizens and economic function of Tipton, Iowa, and whereas all locally available public and private resources and forces available to mitigate and alleviate the damage are deemed insufficient to cope with the resulting situation, initiate repairs, and meet restoration requirements. Now therefore, I, by virtue of the authority provided by the office of the mayor of the city of Tipton, by the Iowa Civil Emergency Preparedness Act, do hereby declare Tipton, Iowa to be a disaster area for the purpose of exercising necessary emergency powers and expenditure of available resources and requesting aid, assistance, and relief programs and funds available from the state of Iowa. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto signed my name and officially caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this, the 3rd day of April, 2023. So we'll get that signed and sent back to them so they can upload it, and then we'll hear from them if we can. All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. These items can all be enacted with one motion without separate discussion unless someone requests they get pulled out. And it's the approval of the council meeting minutes from March 20th of 2023, approval of the special council meeting minutes on March 23rd of 2023, approval of the library minutes from February 27th of 2023, approval of the library director's report from February of 23, approval of the liquor license renewal at the VFW, approval of temporary relocation final voucher of the housing rehab program for Randy Phelps at 711 Sycamore Street in the amount of $677.85. Approval of the New Body Fitness and Tanning 1 mile and 5K run on June 10th of 2023. The approval of the mayoral appointment of Maggie Hemmel to the library board. Approval of the change order number 3 for John Lang Housing Project at 59 Mulberry Street and Avantis Construction. It's actually a decrease of $3,858. Approval of the temporary no parking on Lemon from South Street to West 9th during the detour timeframe of the Highway 38 project. Approval of the proposal to hire Terry and Sons to paint the indoor pool at a cost of $12,300. Approval of contracting out the fire department hose testing to First Do Hose in the cost of $3,710. Approval of the contracting with Felt Fire to fix the aerial apparatus at $7,793.40. Approval of the contracting with Feld Fire to service the extrication tools annually, and the approval of the changes to the employee health insurance according to the option 2 within, and finally the approval of the claims register, which includes claims paid under the current purchase policy. Do any of those need to be pulled out at all? Seeing there is none, is there a motion to approve the entire consent agenda?
Second.
Posturing with the first and Cummins with the second.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, so first up, we do have 3 public hearings tonight. The first one is a public hearing on the proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion.
Cummins with the first. Second. And Helm with the second.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
All right, Mr. Wagner?
On the public hearing for the essential purpose loan agreement, this is for the $3.8 million to pay for that part of the Highway 38 project that isn't being covered by grants and other types of federal funding. Later in the under city business, after these 2 hearings, there's a resolution that ties the 2 together into one agreement. But again, it also includes, this hearing also includes $80,000 for electric utility improvements.
Any questions or comments or anything on that? Any questions from the public about a loan agreement? All right. Nobody online? Nope. All right, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
Motion.
Cummins with the first
Second.
and Posturing with the second.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
All right, our second public hearing, it's a hearing on a proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement. Once again, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion. Second.
McNeil with the first and Cummins with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
All right, the public hearing is open. Mr. Wagner?
And this is the other one I mentioned. This is the not to exceed 80,000 for improvements for the electric utility.
If there are no general questions on this loan agreement, then I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
McNeil with the, or Posturing with the first and McNeil with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
All right, so our third one tonight, it's a public hearing that's on the North Plum Street improvements for 2023. Jack Pope, the engineer, is online. Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
Motion.
Posturing with the first and McNeil with the second.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Posturing,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, so the public hearing is open. Mr. Wagner, do you want to start it off?
Yeah, this is mostly to provide a chance to have questions asked by the folks who have property along the project area. The main ones, I think, are come back to, do we do a rural profile, which is the current with the ditches that are there now, only improved. The other one is the urban design, which is curb and gutter. There was a question that's come up. Has the city in the past done assessments for the first time curb and gutter is put into a street? And I can't tell you when the last time was. But that was a question that came up, and I let the council know at its last meeting that it would be a question to think about coming into this meeting. Our engineer, Jack Polk, is here. I'm sure there are certain questions about staging of the project. What might it do to particular properties? The timeline for the project. So maybe one thing we could do is, before we go into the questions, is just have Jack generally explain the project for everybody.
Sounds good. Jack?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, general discussion, as Brian mentioned, we're bidding the project with two alternates. Alternate one is the rural section, 24-foot wide, paved concrete. The urban section is 27-foot wide with curb and gutter. Roughly 800 foot of paving. We've got 70 working days assigned to this project. We split it onto two stages so that basically the midpoint of the project, and right now it's set up that the stage one would be the south half, stage two would be the north half, and basically each stage is going to be roughly 35 working days. Working days are Monday through Friday, barring weather. That's basically about a 2-month construction period for each one. More aggressive contractor may get it done sooner than that. That's kind of where we're at right now. Estimate of cost for the alternate one rural section is $409,750. The alternate two urban section is $559,163. The project does include the contractor will be responsible for maintaining mail delivery. What typically happens in that, they would coordinate with the Postal Service, where a gang of mailboxes would go to maintain mail delivery. It wouldn't be directly in front of each property, but it'd be somewhere along the project. And then they're also required to maintain solid waste collection as well. So that's kind of a synopsis of where we're at. So any general questions regarding that?
Could you say again the widths of the two options and what led to those widths being chosen?
Yeah, the rural section is 24-foot wide, and that's a typical, when we do improvements, that's a typical rural, it's 12-foot each lane. That's what we'd like to typically we provide, and it's a kind of a SUDA standard. The urban section is 27-foot wide, and again, that's a minimum curb and gutter section. And typically what that does is it's two 12-foot lanes with a foot and a half each side for a curb and gutter section, basically.
I'm sorry. It you kind of broke up when you said the actual estimates too. Would you mind repeating those, Jack?
Yeah, the estimate for the rural section, $409,700. And for the urban section, it's $559,160.
Is there a difference in timeline with those two?
We've got them, the working days assign the same amount of working days for each one. Mainly because there's more storm sewer work on the urban section, but the rural section will require a little bit additional work because we got to put granular shoulders on as well, and a little more ditching gets done with that project. So they're both the same amount of time.
Okay.
Now, how wide are the granular shoulders?
Those are 2 foot.
Okay.
How thick of concrete are you gonna use?
7-inch.
7. Is that gonna be enough for a farm to market road?
We believe so with the base we're putting underneath it, yes. And it's got drains on either side. So by getting the moisture away and putting a granular base underneath it, we believe the 7 inches is adequate, yes.
'Cause there's a lot more to the base underneath it, isn't there, Jack?
Say that again, please.
There's more than just gravel as a base underneath, correct?
Yeah, we do 12 inches thick of subgrade prep. So there's 2 6-inch layers of reworking the soil underneath there. Then we have 6 inches of rock and then 7 inches of concrete. So it's a little over a 2 foot section of new work we're doing there.
We're using rebar too, correct?
Correct.
The width of this road, okay? There's people that park alongside this road right now and there ain't enough rooms. If you're only gonna go 27 feet, that's no parking on either side.
You'd never get a farm machinery down that
Yeah,
street.
SUDA standards is 34 feet with parking on one side. That road ain't wide enough.
That's smaller than it is now, and we've had multiple incidences where we've had to go move vehicles that have parked, especially when we don't have kids at home anymore, but when they would park on the street, on the curb, half in our yard in the front ditch, we still have to go out and move vehicles, especially when we all have family gatherings, to let farm machinery through. There's no way you can make that road narrower than it is now.
It looks like on this plan here, how wide is it south of North Street? Looks like on this plan that they're narrowing it right there. They ain't wide enough.
I mean,
Especially when you curb and gutter, because
Farm
we can't even then park in
farm
our.
machines can find other ways, though. They don't have to come down.
That's Farm Market Road. right?
Yeah, we've been saying that for 7 years.
Wouldn't have moved my
Are you
car.
kidding me
Maybe
right
tell
now?
that the people that live out east of town that have to drive that machinery. They need a way into town, other than going clear out to Harry Weatherson's coming in 130 or down 138.
Well, then you're gonna have to not allow it to be a Farm Market Road.
Well, we've researched that numerous times and nobody can give us an answer on that. But Jack, why did you fall on the 24-foot road?
Well, the 24, if you go up through there, basically the hard surfacing is nominally 24 foot wide through there.
Sorry, Jack, I mean south of North Street?
North.
Or the current?
The current piece north of North is nominally 24 foot wide, the hard surfacing area, what is seal coated once upon a time.
Does anybody know what it is south of North Street?
I was not prepared for that question.
I believe it's 31 south.
You know, and that's a heck of a problem also right now when you got vehicles parked on one side of the road at 31 feet. Okay, now you're gonna go down to 27 feet? There's no way. It can't be done. It can be done, but there's gonna be accidents.
Yeah, and put in curb and gutter, because then people can't even park in the yards. I mean, now, we have family gatherings, they're parking in our front yard to get off the road so that farm machinery can get through. You put in curb and gutter, then they're jumping the curb. I don't think you want, every time one of us has a family gathering, people jumping the curbs to park in front yards.
No, that's why there's 2 options there. That's why they just asked about it. The council did ask for Jack to come up with that other option.
So can you limit the weight on our street so it eliminates some of the heavy traffic? No.
Not the weight limit anyway.
So if you go with rural, where there's no curb and gutter, is there still gonna be ditches on everybody's front yard?
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay. If you go with curb and gutter, there's no ditches, it's all gonna be storm sewer through there.
correct.
Who's gonna pay for this curb and gutter?
The
That's
city
another
has
question I got, because we've been paying for it for years.
Yeah.
Well,
Every one of them, some was.
I'm in the
longer than I
camp
am.
of not assessing it.
Huh?
I'm not assessing curb and gutters.
Well, that has to be
Well, I know.
council, yeah, the whole ball wax.
That's
just
right.
one person, I
Yeah,
agree.
we'd like to hear the opinion of the rest of the council members on that, so we know where we stand.
What question you asking now?
Who, if we go with the
Curb and gutter.
curb and gutter project, are they gonna assess property owners?
I
that
personally
specific
don't.
amount.
I wouldn't have no answer to that one.
It's like Brian pointed out, it's never been done, so I would,
Well, there's a lot of things that's never been done before, but it seems to get done. I just want to make sure.
My vote would be the same as Tim.
Yeah, that was not my thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you want though? Do you want gutters? Do you want the curb?
yeah, we got pretty much the whole neighborhood here.
Yeah, what do you want? Do you want the rural, or do you want the gutters?
The problem I think we're gonna have here, I'd love to have curb and gutter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but if you go ahead and only make it 27-foot wide, then we need to put no parking signs up and down that whole road so nobody parks on that road. And that's gonna piss off a lot of people.
Well, it prevents any of us from having family gatherings at Easter
that's
time.
right.
We gotta pay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a big enough driveway, but
Yeah.
we're not just us, and we have the largest property frontage of the whole street, so it's not, I mean, if you have no parking, then anybody who wants to have a family gathering can't have their family park on the street, which is where they have to park. You know, I mean, there's been Easters, farmers are coming down through there, we have to move vehicles to get farm machinery through there.
So if we make it as wide as the south or the north end of
31 feet.
31 feet.
31 feet,
Yeah,
and then have no parking like on one side, does that help?
Yes.
That would help. I mean, I don't know what standard that meets according to SUDAS.
What's that gonna cost?
Point for what side?
Well, right now, if we go with the rural, it's, it's $150,000 to have curb and gutters.
If you add another 7 feet of concrete,
What's Jack say? How much?
The other problem, if we go with rural, I tell you right now, I'm getting a little bit tired of going ahead and taking the gravel out of my front yard.
yeah, it's all the time, you know?
I vote for that.
That's getting old.
Very old.
So, I mean, that's a concern I have if you don't go with curb and gutter.
And curb and gutter is never gonna get cheaper in the future. It's always gonna be more expensive as we go on.
Hey, Jack, do you have a cost for extra width?
This is gonna be off the cuff. It's gonna add probably between $70,000 and $80,000 to the project cost by the time we add concrete and granular and little more grading work, something like that.
so that'll put us up near 640.
Correct.
Hey, Jack, I got a question for you. This is Terry Gerd.
Yes.
Curb cuts. Is there some type of standards you're gonna be going off of for curb cuts?
As far as driveway widths,
Oh, yeah, your curb cut there if we go curb and gutter. I mean, we've got 2 instances into our property. And, I got a 44-foot camper I got back in that thing. And we'd like to have a little wider curb cut.
Especially if we have a curb and gutter. Make it wider.
normally what we do is we would replace what's there, your driveway width at the street. Now, if there's a desire to do more than that, I'd have to look at that and see if it exceeds what is allowable.
You don't have some standard, do you?
Well, there's a SUDA standard, yeah, but I'd have to look and see exactly what it is, but I think it's somewhere in there around the 24-foot range. You can't exceed that at the curb.
Yeah, well, 24 foot at the curb, that'd be fine. One other question, I don't know if you've been out to the properties at all. In our front yard, we have 2 big pillars, one on each side of the driveway. You guys, or I shouldn't say you guys, the city is looking to get a temporary easement. What are we gonna do with my pillars?
They're supposed to be put back the way they are.
Well, they are,
as far as I know.
I'm just asking,
Yeah.
Brian, I mean, because it's sort of historic to the house.
Yeah, but how are you gonna move them? That's the thing. I mean, like,
They're big.
I have no
they're
idea.
big and heavy and picking them up, and I mean, that's not gonna be an easy task to move those.
No, I'm guessing the contractor will probably have equipment to move it.
Jack, can they work around it?
And they're just on the south driveway, right?
There's one on the south and one on the north. There's one on each end.
Okay, I see that now, okay.
What about the internet? Like the utilities that go through there, because the Cedar County Communications or Clarence Telephone, whatever it is, their box is right between our driveway and Ron and Lois's. So if they have to move that at all, is there gonna be any disruption in internet service? And I ask only because I work from home part-time, so if I'm gonna have that, if that's gonna be disrupted at all, I need to know that and be prepared for that ahead of time. I would assume that they're gonna have to move it to widen the street. They're gonna have to dig that back up and move it.
Jack?
I can't speak for what they would have to do, whether they'd be an outage at all or not. If, usually if the utilities are in the right of way and we're impacting those, or they're gonna be impacted, they have to submit a plan for relocating those within the right of way. I mean, normally they would run a new line, I would assume, and then connect over. If there's an outage for a certain amount of time, I guess I can't speak to that.
But, so they have to come up with a plan though?
Correct.
Okay. Yes, in the back.
We have an incident with a sewer cleanout
Yes.
pipe that somehow got put right close to the road, because city will move that back into our yard, or
That's right.
what happens with
Yeah.
that?
What was your address?
1314 Plum.
So on 1314, they have a sewer clean out. I don't know if you saw that, Jack, when you were doing your survey.
Yeah, it would be replaced and brought up to grade or down to grade, depending on what we're doing with the grade there. Yes.
It'd have to be moved back into our yard. You're saying yes?
I think that's what he said, yeah.
They'll do that.
They'll do that? Okay. And also, Brian,
Yeah.
another thing, we have a tree that pretty close there, I'm pretty sure.
We do too.
We do too.
What happens with that tree? I mean, they take it down in the process, put a new one up after they're done?
Jack,
We got some big trees.
Oh, Ron and Lois is huge.
No.
We have a huge.
well, I was asking Steve in the back too, since he was with trees and still does.
Are they in the right of way? Is that the question?
I think so.
If they're in the right of way, and if we need that to construct the tree, they might need to come out. Now,
I don't know if yours in the right of way.
I don't think ours is in the right of way, but it's a huge tree.
It's
well,
gotta be in the right of way for our
it's
colors.
a maple tree, I think, on it, isn't it?
No, it's a fir tree.
Oh, really?
Private is how we drive.
Yes.
Theirs is right at the top of the ditch. It was probably pretty
On
close.
how you measure the right of way, going down the ditch for those
No,
6 feet,
it's
or
straight across. Yeah, that's an old 66-foot right of way, I think, isn't it? Isn't that old county roads are 66 foot?
Probably, could be.
Yeah, so,
They vary a little bit around town.
yeah. So it's measured this way.
Yes, Mr. Dadlow.
Yeah, Brian, let me just back up a little bit. Originally, where the road's gonna go, the original plan is to widen it by how much? The street?
No, the pavement portion is not, but there's a 2 foot shoulder.
Oh, that's wrong.
That would be rock on each side, yes.
So if I've got a tree, we've got a Colorado blue spruce tree that's only 6 feet away from the road. I'm sure that's what we toast. But there's another blue spruce that grows into that one that's about probably 20 feet from the road. What I'm getting at is surely that won't have to be taken down. And I don't want to lose half my front yard, I guess is what I'm saying. I just don't know how deep this is going to go.
With your plans, Jack, do you have an estimate on how far back into yards this will encroach?
Yeah, actually, the curb and gutter section doesn't really encroach at all. It's only when we do the urban section where we gotta get a good ditch in there to drain water, where we're doing some grading on private property. If I heard all what the last gentleman's, is he on the north end on the east side? Is that what he's?
Well, there's two of them, yeah. The same one that's at 1514, and then the one way at the north end on the east side, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the plans here. Bear with me a second. In that area, I mean, either option, we're not grading beyond the right of way, I guess. It looks like the center of the trees are right on the right of way.
The center of the closest tree?
At 1314,
Yeah.
specifically at 1314, is the right of way go through the center of one of those trees?
One of those.
Or is it the one further north?
I don't have the addresses on our set of plans. Which one's 1314?
It's one right across from the north end of our driveway.
Yes. The circular driveway, the one right across from the north entrance of that circular driveway.
Okay. And that tree's quite a ways back, it looks like. If I'm looking at the same, if you're saying across from that, that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. And then further north, there's a resident at the furthest house north on the east side, a resident had concerns about his tree line as well. What do you think?
You're right at the crest of the ditch.
Yep. Those appear to all be planted on the right of way line. We're not grading back beyond that at that point.
But if everybody wants to add 7 feet to it, I'm guessing this is gonna change a whole lot with the trees.
Yeah.
So it'd only be 3.5 feet each side.
Yep.
But if there's.
So that
That's
moves
half
the
the-
right of way
That
back.
moves the right of way back. No, it doesn't move the right of way back. We're just dealing with the actual road width. The right of way stays the same. You guys aren't buying right of way from us.
No,
I get that. But if there's a tree in the right of way and we're encroaching on that, some more trees might have to come down. I don't have a map in front of me.
Correct, you're correct, Jason.
So I'm just, yeah, there could be, if we want to acquire, there could be some things that we have to
give and take, I guess.
So there's two trees that actually, are you talking about that are actually close enough to the right of way, correct? Three?
Absolutely.
We got one.
Get a couple four-wheel or a big four-wheel drive tractor, pulling the grain buggy, got domes on it.
But
Like those are corn heads and bean heads. and all that.
Yeah.
That's what we need to make sure before we say yea or nay or whatever on that road, I think.
Yeah, it shouldn't be narrow from what Plum is farther on down, just come up that stretch. Should be the same.
root system is bound to be around, right, even if the tree is. Probably, yeah.
And March Hawk's gonna lose, how many trees you gonna lose?
Well, I think there's 3 trees.
Can they replant them back further?
Big old trees, I don't think that would happen.
I think they were planted when,
Plant something
I think they were planted when the
Yeah.
house was built in 1909.
Didn't he say that they were close enough, they weren't going to be affected?
But if that's with the
The way
previous plans
Previous
of
wisdom.
not the 31 foot.
Right.
yeah,
I got a couple of other questions.
yeah.
What's being thought of as far as access getting in and out while the projects are being done? And secondly, I live at 1401, I'm the last house north on the west side.
Okay.
How far to the north is this going? And is there a difference between the two options as to how far north the work will be done?
The project is slated to be done in 2 different areas. The first, and it'll cut off directly where Gertz live.
I understand that, but what about when they're doing over there in front of where I am? Is there going to be a way
Mr. Pope?
provided to get out?
Yeah,
I can,
Mr. Pope,
I
can
can
you?
speak to that. So the gentleman just spoke, we've got a temporary access road for the area you're in that provides access during stage 2 construction, because across from you, there's 3 or 4 houses across the road that we're trying to maintain access to. And then as far as the end of the project, it basically ends at your north property line.
Why is it not going to the city limit?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's
Because
Uh-huh.
I know I'm close to the country, but I eat dust like I live in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all do.
I mean, I don't hang clothes out anymore. I know you do, but I don't. Our hot tub takes the dust.
Yeah.
Previously, the fence went further north. It's
We've been there about 9 years, a little over 9 years, and when we came there, it was breaking up at that time. But that blacktop, whatever that surface was that was there, went considerably further to the north. I don't know that it went to the city limits,
No.
but it went further than what's showing on the
The
what's been
blueprint.
drawn up.
Yeah.
Well, could I back up just a second though?
Yeah.
You said there's going to be an access provided. Where is that access going to be?
It's on the
Jack,
west
for
side of the road. It,
So you're going through where our yard is?
yes,
And for how far?
What part of his yard?
Yeah. I guess I haven't seen that.
it basically runs from Croc Street up to the north boundary of the project.
What?
Say that again.
From
It
Croc
runs
Court.
from Croc Street up to the north end of the project, and it's gonna be, I believe we've asked for an easement across your property, or need to get an easement across your property.
And then our neighbors as well.
Yes.
Driving through our yard?
Mm-hmm.
Temporary easement is what it
Yeah,
is.
it's a little over 250 feet, I guess would be and we're asking for a 17-foot wide temporary construction easement that'd be beyond the right of way for this temporary granular access road to be installed and then removed.
And then,
What is done to make that whole afterwards?
They're gonna go ahead and put a temporary easement through here. So they can-
and then it gets rehabbed and reseeded and everything else, correct, Jack?
No.
That's
They gotta asphalt driveway that gets
Otherwise you'd have a-
repaired?
Yep. Just like everybody
Yes.
else, so.
I asked a question too. I don't know if you can see it on my chat, but our driveway is paved and we're, I think, one of the only ones paved. I'm at 1304. I think ours and the one across from us, we're the only ones paved. If they redo curb and gutter and it affects the width of our driveway, are they gonna repave our driveway then, or how does that work?
Yes, we'll repave it to the end of where we're, to work. If you've got a paved driveway now, you'll have a paved driveway when we get done. And we'll pave it to the end of the work limits.
Okay, thank you.
So if we don't have a paved driveway now, we don't, the contractors would be able to make that part, I realize it'd be our expense probably. They would make that, they could make that part of the project, right?
Sorry, I guess I'm not understanding.
So, let me
Yeah,
explain.
yeah.
So these curb cuts and driveways, they're gonna be paved to the actual property line,
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Even if they're not paved now.
Yeah, even if they're not paved now,
No, but I'm talking about paving the driveway.
yeah, they'll pave it to the actual property line. To the
No,
actual-
no, that's not correct.
What was that?
He said it wasn't correct.
He said it's not.
If you have a gravel driveway, the city will pave a small portion of that. Basically go back about 10 feet and then
So they're gonna go back 10 feet instead of all the way to the actual property line.
Are they going to pave the entrance into Croc Court?
Well, they said they
It should
paved
be
that
just
10 feet.
the radius, correct?
That's a city street.
And if somebody wants extra.
We've been maintaining.
It's never been made.
We're paving what is called the radius of the curve, of the
Driveway.
yeah.
Croc Court is a street
No, I don't think so.
that my husband and I have been maintaining since it was put in. We have gravelled it several times. We do the snow plowing, but it is a steady street. Is that entrance going to be paved so that they don't cut into Maggie's yard? They don't cut into our yard as they make the turn into Croc Court?
I guess I don't know who they is.
Usually it's Roger.
Well, yeah.
I think she's talking about anybody that makes
Yeah,
that turn.
anybody. Roger's a big culprit.
I can't talk about other people's driving habits, but it'll be.
No. Is it going to be paved
That
onto that street?
The radius, yes, that goes on the croc. So, and then the curve
Okay.
of it, and then it'll stop.
You made a comment about anybody wanting to talk to the contractor about it, if they
When,
want.
when is the city going to start doing the maintenance on Croc Court is another question I would like to pose.
All right, after this hearing, we'll talk about that.
Thank you.
Okay, hey, Brian,
Yeah.
I'd like to see the city, once the street is put in, put a stop sign at Luke Myers so that that traffic slows down. It'll just be a
Yeah.
speed.
It's just a launch
There's
pad
been talk
for
amongst
the local drag
us
strip.
that we'd like to have probably 2 stop signs. One
Good.
coming off the gravel and one at Luke Myers.
Good,
And
good.
try to
Oh,
slow
you
some of that down.
Clear back where the city
That was
limits
just
are.
discussion between a couple of us council members. That's nothing set in stone, but that's.
But no more than 3,
Right.
no more than 2.
Yes. Try to slow them coming.
Yeah.
Even if you put one at the end, that would help a lot.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Because right now, just as soon as they get through North Street, it's hit the pedal and away we go.
It's a race.
Yep.
I mean, there's never police on that long street. Never. I haven't seen a cop on North Plum Street since they were. And he was only up there because he came to our house to visit.
Okay, can I go back to the access road, because my husband's not here and he's gonna ask you.
Yep.
He's particular about his yard.
And he can pull this up, by the way. This will be,
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how far in will it go? The access road?
It varies.
Jack,
And then,
can you hear this?
No, I did not.
Okay. What was your
It would
address?
be easement number
1319.
6.
The 1319 on the west side of Plum at the north. She's asking about more description of the access road and that temporary.
Sure, just a
Jack,
minute
can
here.
you ask him if he could give us a measurement from the center of the street to where the end of the access road would be? So we kind of can, in our own mind, look and say, okay, it's gonna end about here or something.
Yeah, I can do that. So basically, a little more description first. So it's a gravel access road. We're starting at Croc Court, and then it'll go to the north, to basically the north end of the project, which is close to the north property line of the last property out there. Basically a 10-foot wide gravel road. And hang on. The west edge of that road would roughly be, looks like 40 foot from the center line of the road, give or take.
Does that help?
I wrote it down. We'll
Okay.
see.
Brian, can we recap this thing? So that everybody knows what we would like to see.
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
neighborhood. So guys, what we're looking at is, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? We'd like to have a 34-foot wide road with parking on one side.
Did you say 31?
31 with no parking or with parking?
31. Oh, it's 31 south of Plum Street.
Yes.
With curb and gutter.
We want curb and gutter,
Yes.
or we started gravel.
Yes.
You want curb and gutter?
Yeah, I do.
Me
I
too.
know.
And they're only coming in from the edge of the road, they're only going to come in 10 feet with the driveways? Just to make sure.
Yeah, just make sure, because Jack, you kind of cut out when you were talking about the driveways.
If there's a paved driveway now, we'll pave it as part of the project. If there's gravel on the driveway, we're paving a 5-foot apron from the end of the street back onto the property.
5 feet.
5 feet.
What if you have asphalt?
There we go.
Don't match it up.
The
Yeah.
plan is to put concrete up to that asphalt. If you have an asphalt drive. Anything that's concrete or asphalt now will be replaced with concrete. If it's gravel, it'll be a 5-foot apron next to the street and then back to gravel.
You were at $80,000 for another 4 foot, correct? Or
Yeah, it's real rough, yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that.
This might call for a new public hearing.
Yeah. So, also,
And the last thing I guess I want to touch on is council's in agreement that if we go with the curb and gutter, it's not going to be charged to the property.
yeah, totally.
Yes.
But,
I just want to
I
make sure.
mean, I hate to be the wet rag on this, but the council only has a certain budget to work in.
I think we're gonna have to get more precise estimates. I mean, he's flying off the cuff here.
And then that will also push back the timeline of everything.
Well, we're changing the design. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's a new thing. We might have to go through a public hearing all over again because this is being redesigned, basically.
Correct.
That's fine, as long, I mean, it needs to be done and done right.
But
I mean-
the timeline changes.
Yeah,
The
that's why I
timeline
get it.
may not be
We've been
possible
waiting for
this year.
years.
Yeah.
So
Another
just so you
years
understand,
now.
What?
I said, another year's not gonna make any difference. We've been waiting for a long time the way it is.
That's good to know because the timeline might change.
So that's my next question, is if we have, so if the timeline changes, then we have to wait, but doesn't the city have a pothole filler asphalt machine? Why can't we at least put, instead of putting gravel in and then it snows and they push all the gravel into our front yards, you know, we actually just pay somebody to come in and brush it all out with a little brush thing out of our front yard so that we can mow lawn in 2 weeks when we need to. But why can't, I forgot you were here, sorry.
There's a
Our
pothole right there.
machine
Yeah, I forgot he was
laid
here.
down some pretty nice patches. There's nothing for that patch to adhere to. There's nothing under there. When we did the cores up there, we cored out 5 places. There were 2 or 3 places where the street was about this thick. And it was clay underneath it. I think when they did that originally about 50 years ago, they went in there with a seal coat. And then they did a double seal coat, and then they might come back and
Nash did that too.
Yeah.
let's see, I'm not
Okay, well, I was just curious, because we've all had that conversation.
Well, here's the
Why
other thing
can't, why are we?
that I want to throw out on that street has not been addressed permanently because we're waiting to do it right when it got done, and that would be with the constant and.
Yeah, no, I get it, I totally get it.
So we have tried to, as a public works group, go in there and just fill the potholes the best we could until we get a permanent street. Not wanting to go, we did do some patches, some asphalt patches up there a little bit. That was about the extent of it.
Well, I think, so the reason, I mean, part of the reason I asked that is because, you know, especially if it's gonna be delayed, and I don't remember the names of the people that live in Morris Gill's house. Well, you know, I mean, there are times where, like, we're practically driving in their driveway to get around.
To get around. I know, I feel horrible, but yet I'm not gonna go bottom out.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's, at this point, like.
It's really frustrating. We've only lived here for about a year and a half, and the roads were fine when we moved in, and it's really frustrating, all the gravel that ends up in our yard and in our driveway. It's terrible.
Well, I think it's also the way it's been consistently not maintained. It's almost a safety hazard for somebody walking. There's track kids that run out that north road. We've had word that kids have twisted their ankle going through there. I wouldn't dare, want to clip in on my bike leaving town because you don't know what that gravel is going to do. So bike riding, kids bike riding, pushing strollers, it's not what living in town should represent.
It's not user friendly.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, we have a lot of foot traffic up on North Town. Walkers with dogs, lane walkers, joggers, track teams going up and down there. It's not as, it's more consumer walking up there than you would think. So it's a little bit dangerous. Busy.
The other thing that adds to that is
Kind of go off of that. Is sidewalk being small?
One second, Rachel.
the weight of the farm equipment, that's probably tripled in the recent years, just from. And I might also have the speed of the farm equipment that goes through there.
So that would be the next question.
Well, hold on, Rachel had
Sorry.
a question. Rachel.
Question is sidewalk being considered at all then, or are we just talking about road?
I hear some of it.
Just the road.
Ask about sidewalks. So my next question, I guess the next question would be, is in the event that this would have to be delayed, there's got to be a way to embargo the traffic coming in there and sending them north and out to 38. Instead of, I mean, we're really good friends with shoemakers, but they come through there at 5:30 every morning with a semi full of pigs, and they rattle and bang and clang all the way down Plum Street.
We've tried that numerous times, and we can't, first of all, we can't get an actual answer on what a farm to market road means. But all of the answers that we've gotten is you cannot restrict traffic.
But when was that law go into effect? I mean, everybody says farm to market. It's been at least we've been there 45 years, so
Yeah.
it's 100 years old or more. Maybe they need to look at that
Oh, I completely agree.
law and
Well, you can't get an answer from
Nope.
county, you can't get an answer from the state.
Cause I think it was the last council, we tried to send,
because actually it wasn't residential then, it was farm,
So is that,
but now it is.
is that a county or is it a state?
It's a county. I looked it up.
Yeah, I talked to the county and the
I
state
would
both.
think
I
it would
think
be county.
it's a county issue.
please do. See if you guys, as residents, can get further than we did, about 5 years ago. Yeah.
So working up is you want a wider road, correct?
So we've gone from 409 to somewhere around 644.
Or we're gonna find money.
I'm motion to approve it.
And
Yes.
I would like to kind of take off of what Tammy said is, can we look at, if we're talking about dust and everything, and we can't limit the vehicles that come up and down, can we look at extending it further?
We look at whatever, it's just more money.
More money.
If you put a stop sign
Yeah.
for the gravel and concrete meet, that should slow the dust down. They won't be rolling in on that
Right now,
gravel.
we're set up at
It
24
still
foot.
will.
Yeah, right now,
I
what
mean, if
what
we
the
did it here
council,
at 24 foot, if you want to delay.
If you had to stop completely.
what the council would vote on today is either the 24-foot rural or the
4 curb and gutter.
27-foot with curb and gutter.
27 curb and gutter.
Well, you'd have a consensus for the engineer.
And, like I said, I don't mean to,
Go back.
Otherwise, it's gonna have to be relooked at again, and,
Yeah.
and it could be another year.
and,
And trying to figure out the budget and get it back. to
yeah,
budget.
nearly $200,000 more, might be more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you could live with the 27 curb and gutter, we could make a vote on tonight.
And no parking on either side then?
Yeah, then you can't have any parking up there, or you're never gonna get car machinery through there.
You can.
Either that, or you're gonna have to go without curb and gutter, so people can park in our front yards.
Yeah.
When they have family gatherings.
I don't want gravel.
I live on, over on 10th Street here, and I have grass stopper coming up and down. I have only one lane of traffic going to different people park.
Well, yeah, but you're talking about regular vehicles, you're not talking about farm machinery and semis.
Grass stopper, regular vehicles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's not bringing
No, I understand that, but yeah. but yes.
combines through there with
Right.
20-foot corn heads or bean heads or whatever.
Can you limit
I mean,
But also, you guys do have more than the right of way to park there, so, I mean, you don't have to move.
Make it tougher for them.
Okay.
I'm just saying right now, the 27 foot curb and gutter, it could be on the table tonight, otherwise it's gonna be some time.
Right. Why even brought up 27 foot?
It's because that's what the road is right now.
What's it on South and North Street though? It's 31 feet. Why
But
wouldn't you
currently,
do
the street
31
that you
feet
live
all the way
on,
up to the edge of town, but I can't figure out.
because currently the street you live on is 27 feet
That don't
wide.
make any difference.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna do Plum Street, why wouldn't you make Plum Street even all the way up to the edge to the city limits?
The bottom.
So it's wider south of North Street, so why wouldn't you make it the same width all the way out?
We gotta balance the budget with the needs, and the road is 27.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if you can find money to contract out hose tests for the fire department that they've been doing on their own for 20 years, 40 years probably, come on. Let's prioritize our budget here. That's ridiculous.
Brian, is that street 27 now? What we have there now is not 27.
Jack?
That's 24 now, isn't it?
Did I misspeak? Jack?
Yeah, nominally it's 24-foot wide. It may be narrow in some spots and wider in others, but nominally it's 24-foot wide.
So 27 would be back of curb to back of curb, correct?
Correct.
Take off another 6 inches because you ain't gonna drive on the curb. So now we're down to 26. I mean,
Correct.
It just ain't wide enough. That's my opinion.
Agree with you.
So yeah, so what are you gonna do when we're all having Easter Sunday and we have vehicles parked on both sides of the street? And you have a farm machinery that's halfway into town that has no place to turn around? because they can't get through there.
How about a fire truck?
Yeah,
How about an ambulance? It ain't big enough, it ain't wide enough.
All right, council, what do you want to do?
I motion for that.
Well, we can't, because it's not on the table.
Yeah, there's no number for that.
And we also turned down a $70,000 project on East 10th before to finish out that intersection as well.
We just won't do the alleys.
Yeah, we're gonna pull that.
We're gonna pull that, number 4. But, I think,
I think you either have to reevaluate the number or table it tonight. And I don't think
We gotta get, you gotta get an actual
it's fair
number.
to
I
vote
think,
on the two
I
options.
mean, you're probably looking at a re-estimate from Jack that's a little bit more precise, but I think you're looking at a redesign and a public hearing.
And,
Well, you have everybody right here.
Well, but it's not, it's based on us just kind of spitballing here.
Yeah.
It isn't as precise as it ought to be.
so, Jason, what do you think?
I guess I'm in favor of taking a little more time, getting the proposals.
Ron, what do you think?
I think you want to curb the gutter and you want to match the rest of Plum Street.
Mike?
I think we need a little more time to get it reassessed.
Tim?
It needs to be the same width as Plum Street all the way up.
Abby?
I would like to see your numbers.
All right. So,
Well, I think you're at the point,
Yeah.
unless there's any other comment, I think you're at the point of closing the hearing and then having us work with Jack to come up with a new project.
Yep.
Or
We
amendment.
actively have the street committee be involved with it so they can get feedback from the residents at the same time.
That depends on the street committee.
Would the street committee like to be involved with
I
the
would.
setup and make sure that they're hearing from their constituents and allow the voice of their opinion?
I can be.
because I mean, they have, we go over the streets plan, we did, this was on it. And then the direction was to work up a plan. So Jack did what he was directed to do. All right, so Jack, oh wait, first we got a vote to close this public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
McNeil with first and Cummins with second.
Helm,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Ashton,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, so now then, Jack, I think the council has given some direction to city staff to work with you on another project and estimate.
Okay, so we're going to, we'd scheduled a bid letting for the 11th, so we're going to pull that off and cancel that bid letting. Is that correct, what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Let me pull up the agenda. All right, thank you, everybody, for all of your input. Yes. So first under city business, it's a resolution that takes additional action on proposals to enter into loan agreements and combine those loan agreements. Mr. Wagner?
Right, that takes both projects, the essential purpose, which is public infrastructure, and the general purpose, which is the electric, and puts them into one document and one geo bond levy.
What's it take to get somebody to come up there and do something?
I'm sorry, you lost me.
Let's call it recess right now.
Yep, I'd like to call a recess. Is there a motion for recess?
Motion.
Washington with first and Cummins with second.
Helm,
Yeah.
Cummins, Ashton,
Caution?
Yes.
Henry. McNeil.
All right, so everybody online, we're gonna go into recess, so we're gonna stop recording and also mute our mics. So last project.
This conference will now be recorded.
Helm.
Oh, okay.
So they know they can come in.
Okay.
Helm.
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Caution.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, recess is over, we are back in.
Resolution.
Okay.
Yes, we are on the first resolution. It's a resolution that takes additional action on proposals to enter into loan agreements and combining those loan agreements. This is left over from the first public hearing, Mr. Wagner.
And that's pretty much.
Yep.
It just takes the two and puts them into one bond offering.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Posture was first, Cummins is the second.
Cummins.
Yes.
Caution.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, the second one is a resolution that would set the date for a public hearing on the proposal to enter into the general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder.
Motion.
Second.
McNeil with the first and Cummins with the second.
Caution.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Helm.
Yeah.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, the next one is a resolution to assess utility charges due to non-payment by the property owner. This, all right.
Second.
If you guys don't have any questions, that was motioned and seconded. It was McNeil and Cummins.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Caution.
Yes.
All right, and then number 4, we're pulling. Number 5, it's a resolution that authorizes the approval of a development agreement with 524 Partners LLC. This includes the requirements for the IEDA's Catalyst Grant Program, the Downtown Housing Grant Program, and the city's Economic Development Grant for the former quote-unquote Rhino's property at 524 Cedar Street. We do have copies of those agreements. If there are no questions or comments on that, ask for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Cummins with first and Helm with the second.
Helm.
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
Caution.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, number 6, discussion and possible action concerning sale of the 06 gas department service truck. Mr. Wagner? Yeah, Steve walked out.
Yeah, okay.
There's something about selling it to another municipality. How would that impact the bid process? What do we do with that?
Well, if you want to sell it to another municipality, you don't have to do a bid. You can sell directly.
Within town, right?
No,
Oh.
to another city.
Okay.
We've done that with fire department equipment. It's most often done where you don't think you're necessarily going to get that much back. So in this case, if you wanted to, you could put it out as a bid to the public and then the town could be a bidder. Or you could find a value somehow and offer that to that other town if you want to.
So it sounds like the motion would be either put it out to bid or have Brian, or have city staff work up how much they think it is and then talk to that other municipality.
Yeah.
Well, can you just do this?
Yeah.
Can you put it out for bid and post it on IMU?
Yeah, you can do that.
You know, and if that utility's interested, let them bid on it.
Yeah.
They'll send you a note. Then you got who's the civilians and who's the government, take the money and run.
I motion for
That
that.
sounds good.
Because IMU advertise all the time.
All right, so the motion was made to put it out for bid. McNeil with the first,
Second?
Hembry with the second.
Cummins.
Yes.
Caution.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
All right, so that moves us down to the reports. Well, with less people here, this doesn't make as much sense, but I just wanted to make some comments that, like this past Friday that we saw a huge storm, just like Jody was saying, that impacted the region. thank you is all that I can extend to the dedicated departments that we have in the city. Our electric department deserves a round at the nearest establishment whenever they are able to get out of the truck and go home and rest for that. What they have done with a decimated staff cannot be overstated.
Yeah, especially that.
Yes, we're running with about a third of the manpower we should be. The power plant personnel being able to keep that power plant running through the night because we did not have electricity coming into town is also a huge asset that most towns don't have. The council at one point had the opportunity to sell that asset off. Thank goodness they did not. Public Works and the Water Department have jumped in and helped clear debris and make sure that no essential service was blocked from helping if needed. And the fire department and their storm watching, just like Jody said, undoubtedly helped everybody stay safe with those early warnings. By the time the siren was blown for about the fourth time, I decided I should probably go inside. I also, I can't imagine what you guys, I don't know, Jason, you're here, so I'm talking to you. I can't imagine what it was like being out there and seeing funnel clouds drop down around people that you know and the places that you know. And you're just out there.
Yeah, that's scary and an adrenaline rush.
I'm sure. But then also to the citizens of Tipton, your willingness to help each other out. It is one reason why I chose to move my family here. I hate hearing that symphony of chainsaws after these storms, but to me, they're also very comforting. They're comforting in the fact that we're looking out for each other and helping each other out. Now, I hope I don't have to say this same exact paragraph next Monday. So that is my report, and then that moves down to council, committees, city manager. You're the only department head left. All right, then we're to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Posturing with the first and McNeil with the second.
Poston,
Yes.
Hembry,
Yes.
McNeil, Helm,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.